Hello, family. Hello, beautiful people out there. And let me just say, happy day after election. I trust that so many of you, you had a lot of fear, you had a lot of anxiety, you had a lot of nervousness. But you know what I know you also had? I know you had a lot of joy. Joy for your participation, joy for the way that you helped the people you love come together and show up for themselves, for this country, for our democracy. Welcome to the post-election call. Welcome to a community of action that is here to be with you, to stand by you, and to love on you in these moments. And I think most importantly, to help all of us figure out what is the next step and how do we move forward. I want to say welcome to the members of our 55 affiliates in 35 states, Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C., all across this country. Welcome and thank you for being here. Thank you for all you did helping people participate and show up this election season. And to people who are new to us, those who are just coming to our network for the first time, welcome again. You are amongst friends and family, and I know that you will start to feel like you have a home with us in the same way that I do today. My name is Jennifer Epps Addison, and I'm the president and the co-executive director here at the Center for Popular Democracy. And we're really excited to be on this call with you. I just want to remind folks that this is a nonpartisan call. Today, we are here to talk about how our communities participate in democracy, how we showed up, where we have left to go, and what communities need support. But we can do that in a nonpartisan way. So that's what we're doing today. So results are in. I'm sure some of you probably have a TV screen on in one room or next to you, and you're here joining us on this call because you want to hear from some of the most critical states in the country. You know, here's what we know. We are well prepared for this moment. All of the scenario planning, all of the conversations, all of the trainings, all of the volunteering that you all and we have done over the last year have prepared us to be exactly where we are at tonight. So breathe, take a deep breath. We got this. We know that we can make sure that every vote counts. We know that we can make sure that every person who went through the trouble and cast their ballot, that ballot will be counted. We know that we can rely on each other to protect each other. We knew going into this that we were not going to have results on election night. And even as states come in, like Michigan and Wisconsin, we still have 71 electoral votes outstanding. And so we still have to be patient. Today, you're going to hear more about what needs to be done so we can get all of those votes counted. So the thing I want to do right now is I want to really bring folks into this community, right? I want to give you a sense, not just by telling you, but letting you feel who we are. And you know, one of the most important things about the Center for Popular Democracy is we are a multiracial network. 2/3 of our affiliates are led by Black or Latinx folks on the ground in the states. And we want to really celebrate the diversity of our network. And so I'm going to kick it to my sister, my co-executive director, Ana Maria Achia, and she is going to lead us in an opening to really ground us in this space. And she's going to do it in Spanish, and there will be translation for those of us who don't speak Spanish. But for us, it is important to understand that people of color, Spanish-speaking folks, immigrants, that they have the ownership of this network is for all of us. And so we're really excited to have Ana Maria. Ana?
Hola, buenas
Hello,
noches.
good evening.
It is so great to be here. I am about to start speaking in Spanish, but I'm giving you a minute to get situated and find the interpretation. Me siento supremamente honrada
I
de
feel
estar
very
esta
honored
noche
to
con
be here
ustedes
tonight with all of
en
you
comunidad.
in community.
Yo creo que estamos pasando un
I
momento
think that we are
histórico
going through a moment in
que
history
tiene
that
muchas
is
consecuencias.
incredibly
Nuestras
consequential.
comunidades, las
Our
comunidades
communities, the immigrant
afroamericanas,
communities,
afroamericanas,
the African
de
American
clase
communities,
trabajadora,
working class communities, We have been through a period of a lot of pain. In the last 4 years, we have been confronting a government that has decided to attack us. Since the first day of his administration, he has used his power and the authority of the federal government to terrorize us with anti immigrant politics, to terrorize us with threats, with constant threats, to take away health care, has been terrorizing us with racist rhetoric, and also making us feel left out from a government that works. And in this moment, our communities are confronting a lot of loss from loved ones that we have lost due to COVID, the loss of jobs, and above all, the loss of a sense in our lives. And so I want to begin saying that we have been through a lot of difficult times, and that in all of those moments, the thing that has defined us during this period has also been the solidarity and the courage of the people that has decided that even though we have been through difficult moments, we are ready, and we are ready to fight. We are ready to fight for each other. And we are ready to do what is necessary to protect the people and the communities that we love and to the ones that we belong. And it is that certainty that in the most difficult moments, the people of our communities, of our families, will fight to protect us and fight to be part of democracy. That is the thing. That is the feeling that has helped us to survive the last 4 years, that has helped us to protect the healthcare for millions of people, that has helped us to go out on the streets in the middle of the pandemic to fight against police violence, and that has helped us to come to the day of tomorrow with millions and millions of people that came out to vote. Even though we have the virus, even though we have threats of violence, even though we had long lines in all of the voting polls, even though all of the uncertainty, what we saw yesterday, the day of election, it was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful act of solidarity, of hope, of belief, and that when we unite our forces, our power, we can have a better country. And so today I start by giving the space to all of the fear that we've had for the last 4 years, but also giving space to all of the courage and the solidarity that we have seen in the last 4 years. And it is this energy of solidarity that has helped us come to a moment that is today, in which we can breathe a little more, a little better, knowing that we have won the battle of defeating a government that has come closer to being fascist. And we have also accomplished to have a lot of democracy, historic democracy. So I want to give thank you to you for being here today, and give you thank you for all of the acts of solidarity and courage that all of you have showed in the last 4 years. Today, we are ready to keep fighting because we know that the fight does not end on the day of the election, but it is a moment in which we change. We change the dynamic in power, and all of us together last night, we were able to change that. And so I'm very thankful and very proud. And now I'm going to switch to English to explain how we are going to use the time in our agenda tonight.
So I'm now going to switch back to English just to walk all of us through our agenda. So you are here because you believe that it is when people come together and when we fight for one another, we make possible the promise of this country. And we also make it possible because we build power in our actions of solidarity and taking risks to protect one another. We build people power and we organize to achieve change in our political system and the possibility of building a country where we all have the freedom to thrive. So that's what brings us here today to this call, the day after the most consequential election in our lifetimes. This is a huge moment in history. And so we are gathering here today to think about what it is that we need to do together to seize this moment in history, to seize the victories of people displaying their best optimism and the ability of our democracy to deliver for our people and for our country. So we're going to use the following the time that we have in this call to understand together what is going on, where are we at on the results of the election and what is at stake. And then to think about how we move into big action together to fight right now for what is necessary to secure right now and for the long term to build a truly popular democracy and the country of our dreams. And to do that, first we will hear an expert update and analysis of the current state of play nationally and discuss the urgent situation in key local spots with live reports from the ground. And we will talk about what is at stake in this huge historical moment. And then we will talk about the actions that we want to be taking together over the next few days and the actions that we want to be getting ready to take as we think about the next few months and the next few years. So thank you again for being here tonight. It is really, I know it is what I needed. I needed to be in community, to be with my people, to be thinking about the future that we want to build together. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ana Maria. I needed this. I needed to be here with y'all today, and I hope you needed to be with each other too. You know, we're in the middle of a moment of history I don't think any of us will ever forget, certainly not anytime soon. And I don't just say that because this election has had the highest participation we've had since the early 1900s in this country. I don't just say that because, you know, of the uncertainty of the moment that we're facing. I don't just say that because, you know, yet again, Black and brown voters are showing us just how critical and central they are to the American ideal and to this democracy that we're living in. But I say it because you have stepped in to say, I want to be a part of owning the history and the future of this country. You know, years from now, when people will ask you what you did in this moment, you'll reflect now and say, I didn't just sit by. I didn't just, you know, do my civic duty and go back to sleep. You're going to say, I dove in. I wrapped my arms around. I put all of my being in to building the country of our dreams. That's how I know you are going to show up. I know that's why you're on the call with us tonight. So we want to help you figure out to get how to get there. And we are so lucky because we have an incredible leader, an incredible strategist, someone who is literally helping to coordinate the nerve center, the pulse of what is happening across the country at this very moment. She's a political strategist and a trainer, but I you know, a lover of Black people, right? But I really just want to say a lover of our participation, a lover of our empowerment. So we're so happy to have Angela Peoples here, who is with the Democracy Defense Coalition and the Fight Back Table, to give us, you know, the state of play and the lay of the land for what's happening right now. You got a lot of anxious people out there, Angela. What should we let them know? You're on mute still, I think.
Hi, there it is.
Hello. First of all, let me say congratulations. You're amazing.
Thank you. Wow, congratulations to you, to all of us. This is a moment of victory for our people, for the work that we all put in. work works. And we knew it wasn't going to be easy. We knew that this fight was not going to, this election moment was not going to look like any other election moment that we had experienced in our history. And that has proven to be true, not just because this election happened in the middle of a pandemic, and not just because it happened with record unemployment, in threats of violence from white nationalists and the like, but because also our fight, our movements are coming together in unprecedented ways, in ways that we have not seen before. And so I want to say, appreciate the congratulations, and I want to extend it right back to you and right back to the members of your networks and your organizations, and really everyone watching that made it their business to come out for our communities. And I'm claiming victory and naming victory tonight, even though we know that more ballots are being counted, and we are demanding that in places like Pennsylvania and with our family in North Carolina and our siblings in Georgia and everywhere else that they are still counting ballots. We are demanding and we are showing up to make sure that every vote is counted, because everyone counts, and we want that to be a mantra for our communities moving forward, is that our votes are going to be counted, and we will not let efforts to suppress or intimidate take that over. And so even though we know that results are still being, or ballots are still being counted, which is exactly what we wanted to happen, we also know we see the momentum building. We see that our communities have come out in record numbers. We saw the folks in Wisconsin when a lawsuit came up, and when they put pressure on folks in Green Bay to move their counting locations. Communities led by folks like Block in Milwaukee and Citizens Action came together to say, we are watching you. We are not going to let this be swept away undercover or moved in a way that our communities can't keep track of. We are prepared to look for those different scenarios that might come up, and folks are able to respond. And so I lift up that example to say, to affirm that work works, that our preparation works. I know sometimes it can feel like we're planning, we're writing out our scenarios, and is any of this even going to matter? It absolutely matters. The folks in Michigan, who I know you're going to hear from in just a little bit, and shout out to Brandon and Detroit Action and Art with We the People, and Jamila and Stephanie and Kim, and so many amazing leaders in Michigan and across that state. They were able to be prepared when the Trump supporters earlier today were trying to intimidate counters. Folks show up in large numbers in preparation, and because of that, the story that we know the other side was trying to push to move things, to slow the count or to distract or cause chaos, we knew that energy, that narrative was not able to take hold, because our folks were mobilized, and because the leadership of clergy, the leadership of labor leaders, women of color, standing up, Black men standing up in their communities, offering clarity and calm, knowing that if the results play out, if every vote is counted, that we would win that day. And so counting is still happening. In Pennsylvania, our comrades right now are mobilizing to make sure that ballots continue to be counted, and that the local leaders there have the support that they need to really feel fortified to get this job done. Ballots are being counted, and we expect a result to come from Nevada in the next couple of hours. We know ballots are still being counted in Georgia, and I know you're going to hear from the outstanding Insay Elfet, who is going to tell us everything that we need to know about how Georgia's going to bring it home. But just know that this fight is not over. Our work is not done. And so I want to encourage you to follow hashtag #CountEveryVote on social media so that you can see the updates from the organizations in states and in cities that are still making sure that every ballot is counted. And then I also want to encourage you to join us on Saturday. We're going to have a national day of celebration, knowing that voters decide. Knowing we're celebrating all of our turnout. We're celebrating that despite every attempt to suppress our votes, every attempt to silence our communities, to make it that much harder for us to thrive and survive, that we're doing it, that we are winning, and we're going to build towards the future that our communities deserve. And so I want to just end there and invite you to go to democracydefensecoalition.org. I'm sorry, .com, democracydefensecoalition.com. And you can find out if there is already an event planned in your city. We want you to join us, sign up to join. If there's not, we want you to volunteer to sign up to host one. And we'll give you everything that you need to do that. We've got some information about how to stay safe as we know threats are increasing. But just know that this is an opportunity, as Jen was saying, to not to really lean in to the momentum that I know, and I really hope that so many of you all are feeling. I know that there were some losses down ballot, and there's more work to do. And that's why we have this opportunity to come together to celebrate, to honor those that we've lost this year, and to really fortify our communities for what is to come. And so I'm going to turn it back to you, Jen, with a lot of gratitude, so much love for this community, and the CPD action. And I just want to say that we got this. Let's move forward with the leadership of our communities that was expressed in the polls last night, and that we're going to need to win the future that we deserve moving forward. Thank you so much, Jen.
Yeah, I just want to give it up. Thank you so much. And I know you all feel a lot better out there after hearing that. And let me just repeat Angela's message. Breathe. We got this. We are well prepared for this moment, and we will get through it together. I just want to keep repeating it until we all believe it. But Angela, thank you for delivering that powerful message. So I want to, the reason we're in the position we're at, where we're having a conversation about what issues are going to be on the table in the coming years, right? What we are going to bring forward, what mandates we have, right? The record turnout. The reason we are here is because of grassroots organizations on the ground who have been in relationship to people who can vote, right? Who have been in relationship to these communities day in and day out, 365 days a year. This is not just an election to them. This is a way of life. This is about building a community of action that holds power together. And, I feel like I want to bring it down to a place that maybe none of us saw coming, right? Maybe none of us, we've been watching tangentially, but what you need to understand is in the South and in Georgia particularly, there are powerful, powerful folks, especially Black women, who have been building power in the South for literally decades. And that's what we're witnessing in this moment. So I want to bring in Nsé Ufot, the executive director of the New Georgia Project, who is one of those incredible women. First of all, congratulations on such amazing turnout, record-breaking turnout, incredible to see. And, I just want to say hands up, some of the best voter engagement work I have seen anywhere in any part of my lifetime, from Twitch to Vote to, we all know what's happening at the polls, right? Like, to all of this incredible pop culture. You all just really did the thing. And now we're in a really critical moment. So all eyes are on Georgia right now, and people want to know, what do they need to know and how do they support what's happening there?
Okay. Peace, everyone. The South has something to say has been a theme of our voter engagement work for quite some time. Conventional wisdom will tell you that there are red states and that there are blue states and that they are firmly in people's columns, and it is what it is. And I am so, so proud to have my Georgia peach this evening. So what people need to know is that we are in a position where it is close. Georgia has not been called, despite what you see on Twitter, on social media, that we are looking at currently at a 47,000 vote gap with about 150,000 votes that need to be counted. And so the message from Georgia is that Every vote needs to be counted before we call an election. Count every vote. That's where we are. That's the position that we're in. I'm super happy to sort of represent my colleagues, my fam from the New Georgia Project. We have been chipping away at voter suppression. We have been chipping away at our sort of the lack of investment, the lack of time and attention to Black voters in the South. So it's not that Georgians vote against their interests. What happens in our state, the electoral outcomes, the policy outcomes in our state, absolutely 100% come down to one, who shows up to vote, and two, whose votes count, right? And that is still true. That was true yesterday. That's true today. That's going to be true tomorrow. And the way that we've been able to sort of engage in this forward march is that we have a long-term plan. We have a long-term strategy. We are not an island, that we are proud, blessed, fortunate to be in a community of Black and brown folks, of justice-minded folks who have a better vision for themselves, for their families, and for their communities. They are going to try to throw everything at us. We've already gotten word that the GOP has sued counties in our state to stop the count. And we are going to do everything in our power to make sure that that doesn't happen. We are not leaving any tool off of the table that we can use to build a better Georgia, to build the country of our dreams. And so we don't do this work alone. We know that y'all have our backs. We absolutely have yours. I'm so proud, again, to be a Southerner. I'm so proud to be able to reject the lies, the lies that people have about Black voters, that they have about Latinx voters, that they have about young voters and women, and to say that the South has something to say.
Well, and say, I will definitely tell you, we are all listening, and we are not only all listening, but we are ready to be put to work. So if you all are excited about helping Georgia, and one thing Ense didn't even mention is that Georgia is not done voting. There will be at least one runoff Senate election, maybe two.
Yes.
And so,
can I add? Thank you for that, because you're absolutely right. We're not done. January 5th. 15 days before the inauguration, there will likely be an opportunity to vote on 2 U.S. Senate seats. I think why that matters, we have all been witness to the changes that have happened to the judiciary, the Supreme Court, and recognizing the importance of the role of the Senate. And from what I understand, that control of the Senate is going to come down to 4 seats, and one, possibly 2 of them, Georgia voters will be deciding, and more importantly, Black voters and Latinx voters and AAPI voters will be deciding the outcome of these special elections. And so we are going to need our gente, we're going to need our folks to have our backs. Back in 2016, that we had the inauguration and there was a special election in Georgia's 6th congressional district. It has the dishonor of being the most expensive congressional race in the history of American politics. I can't imagine what the world is going to look like over the next 9 weeks, but I know that whatever comes our way, come what may, that we are fortified, that we have folks who have our backs, that we're building a movement. This isn't a moment, and it's a movement that's rooted in love, and that we're building power.
Yes, beautifully said. And we are gonna be here for you and to help you do that. Thank you so much, Ense. Please thank your incredible team for all of us, and let's hope that they at least get a little bit of sleep tonight.
Doubtful. Thank you.
We're going to move to the great state of Pennsylvania, which I know has everybody on the edge of their seats. Want to bring in Megan Urena, who is the executive director at Make the Road Pennsylvania. Hey, girl. Hey. It's so good to
Hi.
see you. I'm so proud of you. Now, look, everybody is on literally on the edge of their seat. We saw that the president's campaign just held a press conference outside of polling locations in Philadelphia. Earlier, we saw a video of very angry white men with guns banging on the doors of vote count centers as poll workers were, mostly black women were counting ballots inside. So we are seeing a lot of hostility and a lot of energy being directed towards Pennsylvania right now. We'd love to hear from you both. How did things go? And then what is happening on the ground now? What do you need out of the rest of the country?
And I'm gonna talk in Spanish. Thank you, Jen. Hola a todos. Mi
Hello,
nombre es Megan
everybody.
Llerena.
My name is Megan Llerena. I am part of Make the Road Pennsylvania. This is an organization that really believes that we are going the ones who is gonna create the change that our communities need. During the whole year, or throughout the year, we have been waiting for this unique day. We have marched, we have cried, we have found ways to be together, to be in community throughout this pandemic. And what Jen just said is that all of the eyes are on Pennsylvania. But the day of election is over. The polls are closed, but the elections have not yet finished. There is still a lot of work that we need to do to make sure that nobody takes away our victory. We have 2.5 million of mail-in votes that we still need to count. To be able to count these, it's going to take time, and we know that this is not easy. We have worked a lot, we have worked strongly and for a long time, and we are prepared, we are ready to wait. But what we are not going to let happen is for for there not to be a count on votes or maybe another attack on our people because of the elections. We have already seen a lot of people that have tried to stop the elections. Here, we are working to make sure that the people that need to count the votes, that they count all. And if there's people that need assistance, that we give them that assistance. And also to make sure that our organizations like ours, like Make the Road, PA and Casa, that is working here, we are doing the work to make sure that every vote is being counted and that we are going to win. We feel that if we do this fight, we have to make sure that people are counting all of the votes. And in this way, we are going to win. We know that we need to do this together because we are more powerful this way. We are doing this work to make sure that there is any kind of attack directly to the areas that are still counting the votes, that there is prepared people immediately to go to those places to see what's happening and to call for help. We have people like lawyers, and we have organizers and members, activists that are available to go to any place when needed. We had more than 12 actions throughout the day, aside from a payback table, the one that we're a part of, and we had 12 actions, and we have more each day throughout the week. We are not going to stop from doing actions because we know that they need to hear us loudly and clearly, that we need to be counted. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Megan. Muchas gracias. Thank you. And thank you to all of the work you and your members are doing. All right. First of all, if you are excited about getting involved and helping close out this election with these incredible groups, you can shoot us a text together, again, together to 79606. Again, together to 79606. I'm going to keep reminding you of that. And our partner, CPD Action, will send you a list of events and actions as well as phone banks that you can sign up for in Pennsylvania and Georgia. All right, let's cap this off with some news. This morning, we weren't sure what was going to happen. We didn't know if we'd have a call in Michigan. But of course, due to the incredible work of my next speaker, Brandon Snyder, the executive director of Detroit Action, and the coalition of organizations that you're working with on the ground, we have an update before, before the night ended. Y'all already answered our question. So tell us what went down in Michigan, but also we heard that there is going to be some shenanigans, right? That people are challenging and trying to figure out how to undermine what you all accomplished. So want to hear what you got in store and what we still need to be watching out for.
Yeah. So what up, though, folks? My name is Brandon Snyder. I'm the executive director of Detroit Action. We are a grassroots, member-led, community-based organization building political power and fighting for racial and social and economic justice for working class Black and brown voters here in the city of Detroit. I like to think of ourselves as a little union for the hood, if you will, when we think about like what it means to build power and to fight back and to make sure that our voices are counted and our votes are counted and our voices are heard. So one of the things that Jen alluded to was that this year, we came into this election cycle, having lost in 2016, having had years of a divestment in terms of like the political process, years of Black and brown voters not being spoken to. And Detroit Action was launched or relaunched in 2017 when I was able to take leadership of the organization. And since then, we've been trying to build the power and build the infrastructure for our organization to engage Black voters around the issues that they care about, but also to develop leaders in the neighborhoods that we serve. And so since then, we won in 2018. We had one of the largest wave elections that Michigan has ever seen, where we went up and down the top of the ballot. And we, and our organization knew that in order to come into this year, that we needed to make sure that everyone's voices were heard and that the will of the people would win the day. So as one of the things that I want to just like lift up for folks, that if y'all haven't been watching the news, if y'all haven't been scrolling, is that Michigan won for Joe Biden, Vice President Joe Biden. We won by about 65,000 votes. That's a increase from the 2010 deficit of 10,704 votes that President Trump won by. Now, you look on the news, you'll see that there's 99% of the precincts counted, and that the AP is called for Vice President Biden to be the winner in Michigan. But there's still votes to be counted. We still got to get to that 100%. And many of those votes that still need to be counted are in the city of Detroit, where I live and where our members live. Many of those votes that still need to be counted are the folks that our field director, Vanessa Velasquez, was able to mobilize. Some 12,000 same-day voter registrations, some 20,000 first-time voters, all of whom who are young voters, who are first-time voters, folks who 2016 didn't see it, they had a place that they could engage in the first place. So for us, what it means right now is building the power, building the leadership, and building the infrastructure to make sure that the will of the people wins. And that means making sure that the process is fair, making sure that people are heard, and that we count every vote. So myself, as the leader of Detroit Action, my friend and comrade Art Reyes, who's the director of We the People Michigan, a number of allies in the state, from Michigan Liberation to Progress Michigan to Mothering Justice, Michigan United, SCIU, and a number of folks who are key to building the power that we need, formed a coalition called We Make Michigan. We made sure that not only that we were going to talk about why it's important that the will of the people rule today, but also to make sure that we show up and make sure that no shenanigans were being happening while votes are being counted. Last night, in fact, there were no Democratic challengers in Detroit while votes were being counted. And what our coalition did in a matter of an hour was mobilize over 150 folks to show up downtown, stay out all night, and make sure that votes were being counted and that the challengers from the other side weren't gumming up the system. Just this morning and just this afternoon, we held rallies in 15 counties across the state to make sure that, again, that all the votes will be counted in the state and that people will be heard. And we're not stopping. We're going to continue to throw down and continue to make sure that our voices are heard and that the will of the people wins. So we'll be throwing down as a part of the national coalition on November 7th here in the city of Detroit, as well as in Lansing and Traverse City and another 12 counties across the state of Michigan. So I want to just let folks know that something Jen mentioned at the top of the ticket is that Black folks and brown folks won this day. Like, don't let nobody tell you different. Black folks and brown folks won this day. And that in order for us to continue to lead, in order for us to continue to build the type of society that we want to build, it's going to run right through us, and it's going to take us building the infrastructure needed to build political power and build the power we deserve. So thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much, Brandon, and congratulations again for all your hard work. Again, if you want to learn more about the actions on the 7th, or you want more information about how to get involved in phone banks to help these organizations, text together at 79606. Again, together at 79606. And, you know, look, even in a nonpartisan space like this, we want you to understand when we say we won, we mean we won because people participated, right? We had record turnout, and that is us winning regardless of what the outcome is. We won because thousands of people are taking to the streets and are saying, protect the vote, count every vote, and are doing their part to guard the votes that people cast. And that is us winning, right? We're winning because the issues we care about are receiving a mandate from people all across this country, from dealing with COVID and getting us back to, getting our lives back, to dealing with the rent crisis that we're facing. That is how we are winning, both in the conversation and in this election. And we're doing it because of real people. So I want to actually take a step back. And when I say the we, I want you to know who the we is, right? When I told you that the Center for Popular Democracy is a community of action, and it is a community of regular people who in their everyday lives are struggling or dealing with their own things, who all of a sudden, realize that their individual struggles are not personal failures, but they are the result of a system that is rigged against them. And they didn't just get mad about it or sad about it. They decided to get back at it by joining a community organization, by leading their community organizations on the ground, and by working to transform this country. So I want to bring in my sister, my board member, my dance partner. I don't know how many things I can say about you, Miss Lattimore, but let's bring in Lassane Lattimore from One Pennsylvania. I'd love to hear about what your experience was like, and thank you so much for all of your efforts in Pittsburgh. You have to go off mute, Miss Andy. Go off mute. Yep. Keep going. You're almost there.
Got it.
There you go. You did it. Yay.
I got it. I just had to. Now I have to go. Yeah. Well, sorry about that, folks. I'm not real technical and I get a little confused sometimes. But I want to say good evening to all of you. And it's an honor to be talking to you, all tonight. Now, we at One Pennsylvania, we are still working hard here in Pennsylvania, as you can see, still counting those votes. And we're not going to stop until every vote is counted, and it matters. Why does it matter? Of course we know. It matters because things are supposed to get better for our people as the years pass. Now, I'm 75 years old, and I live in the Hill District of Pittsburgh. That's what it's called. And it's a mostly Black and low-income community. Now, when I was very young growing up in Pittsburgh, I received a great education from our public schools. And we had our own businesses, many of which were Black owned. But if you went downtown, when I was very young, you'd find restaurants where you weren't allowed to eat in places that wouldn't hire us. We couldn't even try on clothes. But the years have really been hard on the Hill District. Today, there are no jobs. and schools in my community don't get the resources they need because they're funded by property taxes. So businesses have closed down. And this pandemic has been the latest in a series of harsh disasters that, along with the civil rights unrest that followed the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King, and even before that. And we lost a young Black man in a police shooting this past year or so. And I will say his name, Antoine Rose. Now, he was a child, only 17, and the officer was acquitted. I've been voting for over 50 years. Now, there were a couple of decades of time when I moved away. I traveled from the city for work, but I came back to vote. I voted in every presidential election and almost every other election here in my home city. And I left to build a life for myself. Now, in Pittsburgh, I worked at a steel company, and I started working with the computers in the company in the early days of computers. But I had to leave that company because of the sexist mentality in the company's plants. They wouldn't let me in. But still, it did open doors for me. But making a living as a Black woman wasn't easy for me. And today is still not easy for people. Pennsylvania has a minimum wage. They still have this minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. $7.25. How can people live on that? How can you raise families on that? And the federal government should be taking the lead and making sure that nobody has to work for that low of a wage and survive. It should be protecting unions, investing in schools, and protecting us from this virus. Now, things are better for Black people in some way now than when I was younger, and a Black person can win the presidency. No restaurant can refuse to serve us because we're Black, and nobody can refuse us on the basis of race, refuse to hire us. But our kids still are not safe, and they don't have the opportunities they deserve. And there's a new threat now, one that never existed before in my community. There is a threat to democracy itself, one that goes beyond the failure of the Electoral College, which has outlived its usefulness and purpose. Today, we're facing a threat that our votes just might not be counted, and that's terrifying. That we cannot allow. Now, I need all of you to please stand with me and say we count. Say we deserve to be heard. I need that from all of you all over the country. We have to keep fighting. And I've been fighting my whole life, and I'm not stopping now. And I thank you all very much.
I'm really hoping that right after this call, somebody makes a meme that just says, "Be like Miss Sandy." Like, that's what, honestly, that's what we need. Thank you for your decades of leadership and for everything you're doing.
Thank you.
And I want to bring us over to Oregon and bring in Michael Vasquez from Piccoon, our affiliate in Oregon. First of all, I hope you and your family are safe. The wildfires we've all been watching across the country, and we're all pulling for everyone in Oregon, and I hope you're safe. But you all are, you're like providing us in the midst of a pandemic and these horrific fires. Like, Oregon managed to show up and transform like the material political conditions on the ground. So Michael's going to talk to us in Spanish because, again, we are so proud to offer this call in 3 languages: English, Spanish, and American Sign Language. And so Michael's going to talk to us in Spanish about Oregon and what it means to step up and be a leader.
Yeah, muchas gracias. Es un placer
Yes,
estar
thank
aquí
you so
con
much. It is a
ustedes.
pleasure to be here with you all. I know that this year in general has been very hard. I graduated from university this spring, and I know that this is not easy. But during easy times, I like to remember of how I got here. My parents, they came from Mexico 22 years ago to work in the fields and to get a better future. They lived in mobile homes with other immigrant families like mine. We lived every day with the fear of deportation, that a little mistake, like the speeding ticket, might split up our family. That type of fear is like living in a cage. I have had my father look at me in the eyes and say, "Son, if something happens and I am not here tomorrow, take care of the family." And he works in a tree nursery, and as you know, they had some of the worst forest fires. And they were telling them all to stay inside. My dad had to stay outside and work so that he can bring food to our table. And this is the reality of a lot of families in this country. My parents always taught me to work hard so that I can accomplish my dreams and accomplish the American dream. But this country doesn't seem to value that hard work and that sacrifice. And when they ask me, what is at play in this election for people like me, there is a lot at stake, especially for citizenship, especially for forest fires. It is also at stake good jobs and real opportunity for young people like me. Growing up, I wanted to be an architect, and my dad wanted me to be a dentist. But since I saw all of the injustices being done to my people, I knew that I couldn't just stay without doing anything. And so I started to believe in the organization and in the working people of this country. It is a very hard moment in our story, but I would like to ask everybody to do one thing, to stay faithful to one's own self. And for anything that happens, we must stay together, and yes, we can.
I wish there was like a si se puede, si se puede, si se puede, si se puede. Okay, sorry. I just felt like we all might want that a little bit. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you, Ms. Lattimore. Listen, folks, they stepped in, right? Like, this is our community of action. It's every bit as inspiring, you know, as you are feeling right now. It's what we get to experience every day together. So I'm going to keep asking you to join us, join this community of action. And I'm going to now bring in what I consider the closer, my brother, right, Adi Barkin, who, you know, has spent the last several years crisscrossing this country, you know, in defense of our health care, our voting rights, you know, fair tax system. I mean, there really isn't enough to describe. But I think right now in this moment, he is demonstrating for each and every one of us what it means to be a hero. And his leadership is inspiring all of us to find the heroes and sheroes and theyros and all the great things inside of each of us. So I'm going to turn it over to my brother Adi. I love you. Congratulations for all of your hard work, all that you've done, and I can't wait to hear from you.
Hello, dear comrades. It is so good to be with you during this difficult moment. We are nearing the end of an exhausting, tragic year. The end of an exhausting, tragic 4 years. There have been moments yesterday and today that have given us a frightening sense of déjà vu. Like 4 years ago, the pre-election polls told us that the American people would reject racism, would reject deceit and corruption, would side with a vision of a more just and open society. And the polls said that the results would not be particularly close either. But, like 4 years ago, those polls were radically wrong. Far too many Americans embraced white supremacy in this election. Far too many embraced fascism. After experiencing the incompetent and malicious response to the coronavirus pandemic, nearly half of the American people said, "Yes, please. I would like 4 more years of that." Unlike in 2016, however, it appears as though the coin flip has landed on our side. Votes are still left to be counted. Lawsuits will be filed. We will need to take to the streets to ensure that every vote is counted and the will of the people is respected. You have already heard about some of this work, and I urge you to join it. But, it does seem like Trump will lose this election. And barring some extraordinary intervention by the Supreme Court, it looks like Joe Biden will be the next president of the United States. I think we have staved off fascism for the moment. I think we have saved our semblance of a democracy. The margins are unfathomably thin. Disgustingly thin. But I think we have avoided the worst fate. And that is a feat worth celebrating. The victory is due to the hard work of people in our movement, including all of you on this call who voted, volunteered, and donated. The victory is due to the votes of people of color, particularly black people, especially particularly black women. White people, especially white men, voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump. We voted overwhelmingly to entrench the institutions of white male economic and oppression, as we have been doing for many centuries. And, once again, it has been black people who have resisted and saved America from its worst demons. So, thank you. Thank you. The thin margin of victory for Joe Biden is, tragically, more than merely unseemly. It is more than disturbing. Because it has meant that across the country, Democrats won far fewer races than we should have. That includes crucial state legislature races that will influence redistricting after the census. And it includes, tragically, the races for the United States Senate. There is still a chance to win control of the Senate. There will be crucial runoff elections in Georgia in January, and I know that we will be pouring our energy into them, supporting our comrades in Georgia however they tell us to. But we face a daunting map, and our hopes for a Senate majority to enact a bold agenda are slim. And, of course, we now are living in a country with a 6-3 conservative supermajority on the Supreme Court. We had hoped that a robust, bold Senate majority would help enact sweeping reforms to make our democracy more just, to make our economy more just, to guarantee us all health care, to save our planet. I don't know how much of that will be possible if Republicans still control the Senate. I am, speaking personally, devastated by this result. I had hoped that the next 2 years could bring about a flourishing, a rejuvenation, perhaps even a major structural shift in American democracy. I don't know if that is possible anymore, and I don't know that I see the path to making it possible. So, what will I do tomorrow? How will I persist? I think I will call back upon two memories. The first is the memory of the aftermath of the 2016 election. That was a far worse result, far more shocking. And, personally, it came at a moment of great personal tragedy. The month before, I had been a healthy 32-year-old man with a beautiful infant son and a great job at the Center for Popular Democracy. But 3 weeks before the election, I was diagnosed suddenly with a terrible deadly illness called ALS that I was told would paralyze my whole body, and eventually kill me. Donald Trump's election was a huge second body blow, and it left me reeling. My world turned upside down, twice. Eventually, though, it was by returning to activism and politics that I found my bearings. I joined leaders from this network, many of whom are on this call, to protest Republican tax and health care policies in D.C. I shouted and chanted and got arrested. And through that act of solidarity, through that act of resistance, I was able to make my way through the Trump era, and make my way through this terrible disease. In the coming weeks and months, I will be reminding myself of the power of that choice, and finding solace and refuge in solidarity with you. The second memory that I will call on is less personal. It is the memory of this nation's history. The anti-democratic institutions that we are fighting against, like the Electoral College and the United States Senate, are 250 years old. The ideologies that grip the minds of so many voters, anti-black racism, patriarchy, a religious belief that greed is good, these are even older evils. And yet our people, our ancestors, have been struggling against these institutions and ideologies for as long as they have existed. Better organizers and activists have faced down even greater threats, have brought down even greater walls of oppression. This struggle is our birthright. It is our history and our destiny, and our pathway out of darkness. On good days and bad, and on the ambiguous ones like today, It is our duty to hope for a better future. But hope is not just a state of mind. It must be, ultimately, a state of action. And I am proud to join you in that hope and in that action.
Thank you, Adi. Thank you for those words. Thank you for everything you do. I don't think there's a way to say it better, but I just want to say I'm really honored to be a part of this community of action with you. And the truth be told, it's such a beautiful representation of our network and of the world, right? The largest voter turnout, right? Massive record voter turnout. That's just not one type of person. It's all of us together. It's Black folks and white folks and indigenous communities and API communities and Latinx communities. It's poor folks and low income folks and no income folks. It's working class folks, right? It's all of us together working to build the country of our dreams. And that is not a short-term fight. So we're getting ready to wind down the call. And I promise you what is coming is what you can do right now, right? There is urgent need in this moment to protect and guard the election results. And we want to make sure to give you that information. But before we get there, it's important for us to talk about where it is we're going, why we're doing this together. You know, Rashad Robinson from Color of Change said something to me 4 years ago, right after this administration was elected. He said, you know, people could learn to hate this administration, but never learn to love Black people, right? And I've carried that with me throughout the years as we've watched our resistance rise and grow, as we've watched us come together and be in defense of each other. I've thought about that a lot because right now, regardless of what happens, regardless of who this election is ultimately called for, if our response to that is to go back to sleep, if our response to that is to say, okay, we tried, cool, let's all go to bed now, right? If our response is not to fight just as hard under the next administration as we have under this one, then we're doing ourselves a disservice. And so we're here to talk about the long term, about building a country where we tackle the big crises we face, whether that's our COVID response, ensuring everybody has healthcare, not just access, but actual healthcare. Dealing with the fact that we have an installed and illegitimate Supreme Court, making sure that we transform our immigration system from one focused on cruelty and harm to one that is truly a humanitarian system. Whether we got to deal with the fact that yet again, rent has just come due. And yet again, millions of families didn't have the money to pay it, right? These are the big issues our communities are dealing with. And what we need to do right now is respect the folks who participated in our democracy enough not to give up, not to just say we're done, not to check it off the list, but to understand that democracy isn't just voting, right? Democracy is everything we do in between Election Day to take ownership over the systems and the institutions that impact our lives. And so we want to ask you to join us again. So I'm going to say that number again, one more time for you. We really need you to do this, right? Text together to 79606, together to 79606, so that our partner CPD Action can both, share with you information, but also so that you can really join this community. The only way we win in the long term is if we build massive power through direct political action. Yes, it's why, and I want to shout out Natalia Salgado, our Chief of Civic Engagement. Natalia's watching. She's not here right now, but she is watching. And she is the one that helped build our network's plan to focus in the 7 states that are going to be determinative for this election. She helped make sure that there were voter guardians trained. She helped make sure that there were people to volunteer and participate. She helped support the affiliates on the ground as they executed their programs. So big shout out to Natalia. We love you. We also have to build through our movement infrastructure, which is why we're encouraging you to join us and join grassroots organizing groups on the ground. Our power comes from people power, and it comes from you. So the last thing I'm going to ask you to do again is to be like Michael, be like Miss Sandy, be like Adi. come out of the shadows from the struggles you have in your life and bring those into the light so that you can find the community of action, so you can find people across this country struggling in the same ways who have decided they're not going to take it, and instead they're going to fight back together. That's what we're asking you to do today. It is the biggest, most powerful, most beautiful thing you can do, to join with others and to really fight for a shared vision for our country. And we're going to help you do it. So we have a video that we want you to watch now that you're in, because I already know you're in. I can feel you all out there texting away together. So we also have a video to help you bring your friends and family, right? Because what is a community of action if your people aren't in it? We want all our people in it. So we're going to play a video for you that you'll be able to share with your friends and family.
Nuestras familias.
Our economy.
Por nuestra salud.
Our schools.
Nuestras escuelas.
Nuestras comunidades.
Our land.
Our jobs.
Our bodies.
Por nuestro planeta.
Our rights.
Nuestro futuro.
Nuestra democracia.
Our housing. You.
Tú.
Me.
Juntos.
We organize.
Nosotros organizamos.
We vote.
Join us.
¡Sí se puede! ¡Sí se puede!
Woo! Powerful, powerful stuff. It makes me so excited. And I cannot wait until we deal with this pandemic so that we can be in relationship to each other in person again, because watching all of our people together like that makes me ache and yearn for those times. And for a leader who, will get us there. Okay. So if you want to be a part of this beautiful community of action, I promised you I was going to tell you, how do you get involved? How do you make sure we get to that beautiful vision we are building together? And like I said, yes, we need to take action for the long term. That's why you're texting me right now together, 79606, again, 79606, so that we can take action for the long term. But let's talk about what we have to do right now. We have an urgent but massive action, right? We have to take historic action to guard every vote. And as Brandon said, right, to make sure all of those votes are counted and not invalidated. So over the coming week, no matter what scenario we're in, no matter what the eventual determination of this election is, that is what is upon us. And we can't just take any action, right? We need to be strategic, and we need to be in relationship to each other, both for impact, but also for our security and the security of those that we love. And so what we want to do is let you know that there are actions happening. Particularly, we want you to hold this Saturday, November 7th. Across the country, there will be actions this Saturday. But if you want to find out exactly what the actions are that are happening on the ground near you, or if you want to do things like help cure people's ballots and make sure that their votes count, help remind voters if they need to go fix their ballots, help support the grassroots organizations on the ground who are trying to contact folks and make sure their votes are guarded and protected. If you want to be able to help do all of that stuff, then we need you to, again, text that number together, 79606, so that you can get that information from our partner, CPD Action. And the thing that we want you to know is we are all about love here, and we're going to make sure that the actions that are available to you, if you are comfortable going in person, we will have, those actions always have PPE. If people are wearing masks, we want to do it safely, and we want to protect your health. We take that incredibly seriously. And we always have virtual options. If in person is just if you have a greater health risk or it's not available to you, we always have virtual options. Literally 6 days a week, we have phone banks, text shifts that you can sign up for. So here we are, folks. Here we are. And I think the thing that really needs to happen before we close out is we need a little bit of art, a little bit of culture, right? A little bit of something to move our spirits and our souls. And we are so grateful because we have Adi here, who is going to give us, you are going to breathe a little life, right? We're all, our shoulders are a little up. This was some heavy stuff. It was a lot to take in. And here you are with that beautiful smile to really just bring us home and remind each other that we got each other and that we are in this relationship. So Adi, please take us away. Give us a little bit of spirit, a little bit of what I call spirit juice before we leave.
Thank you so much. Super grateful to be here. So I'm Avi, and I'm a lead organizer with Make the Road New York and Make the Road Action out here in New York City. And grateful to be here tonight. I was a little worried I wasn't going to make it. We were marching for the last 3 hours throughout New York City, demanding that every single vote be counted. So I'm super grateful to have made it and made it in one piece. Yeah, and I'm going to be doing a spoken word piece to close this out. So thank you. They lit flames in our gardens, ravaged our homes, stacked our bodies on top of one another, threw us overboard, ripped our children from our arms and sold them for profit, and can't comprehend why we gather, why we fight, why we bawl, shout, holler. It's having the most human parts of you sacrificed, like having a church with no choir, gospel sung through bullet hole homes nestled inside the damn walls that barely hold up. Where is our sanctuary? If not our churches, if not our schools, if not our homes. Rage is watching the names of neighbors flash across TV screens because shots flooded their apartments, but not Brianna's. Outcries bring flash floods, a break of levees. Where is the Amber Alert for Black women, for Black girls, Black trans women? Where are the Amber Alerts when police gun down our people? When someone's child isn't returning home to their communal circle, to their mothers, we chant their names as a mantra, as prayer, as a reminder. Ramarley, Eric, Akai, Sandra, Delron, Rakia, first name bases with ghosts, fingers familiar with carving names across posters, paint Black life murals, but ignore families who seek closure. Being Black in the United States is exhausting. It's constant bendiciones, so the ancestors protect the chest and backs of our vulnerable. It's loving a young man who reminds me of Elijah McCain in his soft surrender, awkward tenderness, in his young Black skin. His paintbrush replaced violins, and too often my heart races with that comparison. Where is home if not our stomping ground? Where doñas know your move every day from the window in apartment 3L, where Papi at the bodega knows your sandwich order and you why. He's worked here for a decade, even though he's an engineer back home. It's watching the decay of streets that witness the D's throwing your cousins up against the wall and violating their rights and their pockets, a place you can't afford to call home no more, to call yours no more, ours no more. The hood, like its people, hold multiple truths. Our bodegas honor our dead, our homes to murals and shelters for candlelit vigils. From pissy elevators to first generation college students, it is an orchestra of sirens, music, and songs of places we haven't visited in a long time. When this conversation, the hood, will make symphonies of the cries of the mother of Walter Wallace Jr. Sadness is watching a mother guard her son against what was inevitable. The minute someone called 911, we shout their names, create libations from coroner reports, once birth certificates. Our bodies line up mountain to hillside, arms loop like constant prayer, bellowing war cries that bounce back from riot shields and echo across skyscrapers toward a Black sky, the color of batons, cracking ice cream cone bones that fit in the palms of strangers. What does it mean for our roots to stay alive when they submerge us? For our lungs to expand after they've gassed us? For the people with lineage erased by the Atlantic to still feel connection to a home, to a people ripped under our feet? It means the ground we continue to shake where we walk. It means we will hold one another during the fight of our lives for freedom. It means making phone calls to millions of voters, even though you can't vote, protecting polls from the same white supremacy that took your last name and gave you theirs. It's holding hands with your comrades and laughing so hard your body shakes. A reminder that joy is necessary when the light is dim. A reminder that we stand on the sturdy shoulders of giants and anthology for future generations. And it means that we believe that we will win. Thank you.
Woo. I gotta get my snap on. We stand on the shoulders of giants, and you are one of those giants. We stand on your shoulders for everything you do every single day. I needed that word today. I was calling it soul juice, but I think I'm gonna change and call it soul food, because it really just fed my soul to hear that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful poem of yours. Thank you so much. I want us all to actually just breathe in the spirit of that poem, because it really, while it was performed and I'm sure it is very personal to Ari, I think that it could have been written about any one of you. You are enough. And I need to tell you in this moment, you should be joyful about your commitment. You should be proud of everything you've done. You should feel hopeful about where we can go together as we build our power. And you should be ready. You should be ready. You have trained, you have volunteered, you have grown and learned. You are ready for this moment in history, and you are going to be a part of the future our country needs. Regardless of where or how you came to this call, you are family now. And if you didn't get that message from our incredible speakers, let me tell you, you are family now. Text together 79606. Join us in this community of action. Join us in guarding and defending every single vote that was cast. And join us as together, right? Together, through our aspirations, through our love, through our organizing, and through our commitment, we build the country of our dreams. Thank you all for joining us tonight.